You are looking live. We are live. How we doing, everybody? Charlie Marlow here, jumping on, doing a little live stream, talking about day one of the Democratic National Convention in beautiful Chicago, Illinois, about 4.5 hours north, right there on I-55 from where I am right now, in beautiful St. Louis, Missouri. Get your questions in, get your comments in. I know I haven't been on the channel in a while, been traveling a little bit, but hey, first of all, let's kind of talk about the state of the race. All right. Last time I did a video, I think it was mid last week. And basically, the title of the video was that at that point, Donald Trump could not halt, stop, slow the momentum of Kamala Harris. If you think about basically, go back here a month or so. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump. He gets a bump off that. Remember, Biden is still in the race. Then you have the Republican National Convention. You have all this positive momentum for the Republicans. Until I think it's fair to say, about halfway through Trump's speech, you kind of said, okay, this does feel like same old Trump. I'm talking about middle of the road voters, the people out there who truly are undecided. People are starting to jump in, by the way, so get your comments and questions in the chat. I'll put them up on the screen. Anyway, last week or so, I saw in the betting odds that Kamala Harris had about a 10 percentage point lead over Donald Trump. This was mid last week. I want to say it was something like 54 44 or 55 45, whatever it is. So, but look at it right now. Electionbettingodds.com. Kamala Harris with a 50.3% chance of winning. Donald Trump with a 47.6% chance of winning. So it's basically 2.5, 3 points. Now, in this election betting odds, the prediction is still that the Democrats win. Kamala Harris wins by a vote total of 270 to 268 in the Electoral College. Just as that happens, look, I get a FaceTime from my wife. I'm going to have to shut that off. But so I think the election betting odds are interesting, by the way. And I looked the other day, and it actually had Arizona in the column for Kamala Harris. So Arizona leaning towards the Democrats. Now, if I click on this right now, Arizona, it's basically Republican 51.2% chance of winning, Democrats 48.8%. So basically, it's an absolute toss-up. Right now, Arizona leaning Republican, but just a couple days ago, Arizona was leaning Democrat, or it was tied. So basically, in the betting markets, they had Arizona going Democrat. Right now, it's Republican. I think it's fair to say, though, that that's an absolute 50-50 toss-up. In my opinion, this is still going to come down to if Kamala Harris can hold the blue wall states. So we're talking Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. I've thought all along that's what this election is going to come down to. Now, has Kamala Harris replacing Joe Biden, does that open up a bit of a new pathway through, let's say, a Arizona, a Nevada? Look, I don't think Georgia's back in play. North Carolina. I think if you look at those states right now, again, I just read you Arizona. Let's go to Nevada. Nevada, pretty much a toss-up, basically. Republican, 52.5% chance of winning. Democrat, 47.5% chance of winning. Nevada, we'll go to Georgia. Republicans, 57.5% chance of winning. Democrats, 42.5%. So that's a stronger lean to the Republicans, obviously. Let's go to North Carolina. The exact same odds, basically. North Carolina, Republicans have about a 58% chance of winning North Carolina. Democrats, 42.5%, 43%. Just because I got you here, let's check on the blue wall states, okay? Michigan right now, Democrats, 63.5% chance of winning Michigan. Democrats, 58.5% chance of winning Wisconsin. And Democrats with only a 51.7% chance of winning the great state of Pennsylvania. So that's an absolute toss-up. Probably whoever wins Pennsylvania is going to win this election. And right now, it is a straight up 50-50, and Democrats just slightly lead there. 51.7%, Republicans with a 48.3% chance. You guys, got a couple of you in, leaving, coming back, whatever it is. Let me know you can hear me well once you jump on. Basically, I just want to jump on and do a quick little video on night one of the DNC. I didn't watch all of it. I'm not going to lie to you. I actually fell asleep during Joe Biden's speech. That was pretty long also. And look, I try to be down the middle. I criticized Donald Trump's speech at the RNC. I thought the first half hour was great, actually. And we're talking about politically. Take out what you think about these people. I'm looking at strategy. I thought the first 30 minutes of Donald Trump's speech at the RNC was really good, but then it became the old school, just meandering Donald Trump for the last hour or so, way too long. So last night, similar. Joe Biden, I don't even know how long it went because honestly, I fell asleep and I didn't even care to go back and watch the end of it. He got on super late. I'm in Central Time, but I think I saw that it went on dang near close to, would it have been midnight Eastern, I think. And there's the conspiracy theorists wondering if that's because they just wanted to push Joe Biden as late as possible and outside of prime time. I don't know if that's true or not. There's probably something to that. But look, Joe Biden is also not the nominee, as we all know. And so they were basically comparing when previous presidents had spoken at their conventions. So go back to what, Biden 2020, you can go back to Trump. And they were all late. But look, Joe Biden is no longer the nominee. So it's a little bit of a different story. But I don't know how much Joe Biden's speech really matters, to be honest with you. What do you guys think? I want to hear from you as well. But it was okay. It was obviously better than his debate performance, which was just horrendous. I can see if people thought it was a little angry. He was obviously trying to be forceful, and because he's so old, I think that's also in the back of his head and his team that basically has to come out there and look strong and don't appear like the feeble, weak man that we all saw during the debate, which of course ended his campaign. Overall, I don't know about day one of the DNC. I remember back, I feel like the RNC had really good energy. I liked a lot of their speakers. I thought it was run really well, honestly. And I thought it had tremendous momentum until basically the final speech when Donald Trump kind of went off the rails for the last hour. But I thought overall there was great energy to the RNC. Yesterday, I didn't watch every speech, but I watched a lot of them. I thought Ashley Biden introducing her dad was really cool, really nice. That was really well done. And folks, if you're watching this, I'm not all about, hey, I hate one side, I love the other side. I'm just looking at this, I feel like, fairly. What did I think? So I thought Ashley Biden's speech introduction was really nice. Again, I thought that Joe Biden's speech was way too long, kind of like Trump's. Couple of you watching, by the way, get your comments or questions in, and I'll put them on the screen there. I actually thought Hillary Clinton gave the best speech of the night. And again, I didn't watch every single one, but I'm trying to think back. I do think the most powerful moment and moments that I saw, and I'll bring this back to, I think the Republicans did this really well at the RNC, when they had the families and the real stories of people who had been affected, family members killed, whatever it was, by illegal immigrants. These were real people, regular people, normal people that were giving these speeches. And I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent. It was hard not to have your heartstrings tugged by those stories of these families where illegal immigrants had killed loved ones, raped loved ones. And so in kind of that same line of thinking, unfortunately, because it's very negative, but I do think those stories of the families and the young lady basically saying, this is how taking away women's reproductive rights has affected my life. And basically you had the couple where they lost a child, they had a miscarriage, And because of some of these state laws, they had to go through all kinds of trauma. There was another woman who spoke to that basically. And then you had the young lady who said she was sexually assaulted by her, I believe it was stepfather, when she was very young, like the age of 12. So again, these are horrible stories. Horrible stories. And I'm not one of these people where I try to blame everything that happens in my life or other people's lives on Democrats or Republicans, or this is Donald Trump's fault, this is Joe Biden's fault. But we also know how the political game works. So you know, look, if something happens and there's an illegal immigrant that commits the crime, you know how it's going to be spun. This is Joe Biden's fault, open borders, so on and so forth. This will not happen under Donald Trump. So in the same vein, the Democrats are flipping the script there with these horrific stories of abortions and people who would potentially have to carry these babies to term in certain states or have to go out of state. And obviously the line of thinking is this is Donald Trump's fault. This is all because Donald Trump overturned Roe v. Wade. And again, I personally don't look at these things like that, but you understand how it's going to be spun in the political arena. And there's truth to all of these things, by the way. So I want to hear from you guys. Get your comments in, get your questions in. What do you think of night one of the DNC? I'm trying to think of who else I remembered from their speeches. You had the gentleman who ran the UAW. I thought he was pretty good. And look, I don't remember all these people's names. I'm not Mr. Political expert like everybody else, so I apologize. But Jasmine Crockett, who is the congresswoman from Texas, if you remember, she's the one that clapped back at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I believe she said something like that she had a bleach blonde, bad built, butch body. If you remember all that craziness going on several months ago. Again, I think Hillary Clinton's speech was really good. And by the way, Hillary Clinton, she looks like she could still run for president. I'm sure she wants to, don't you think? We all know there's a part of her that's saying this was supposed to be me. I was supposed to be the first woman president. And I'm not saying that Kamala Harris is going to win, by the way. This is going to be an absolute coin flip. But look, in the same way that Joe Biden has aged really, really poorly, let's be honest. And I know Hillary Clinton's not nearly as old. I'll look up how old Hillary is. I feel like I did this last night. Hillary Clinton's got to be in her 70s for sure. But she looked like the age of a president. Hillary Clinton is, how old are you, Hillary? 76. Okay, so she's what? 5-6 years younger than Joe Biden. I'm just saying, when I watched her speech last night, I felt like, hey, she looks like a president. She looked still like the age of somebody who could be the president. And Donald Trump does as well. I know he's, 78, whatever he is. But Joe Biden has gotten to the point where he's too old. And it's not just about how old you are. It's also about how old you look and how old you act and how old it looks like when you speak. So, all right, got a couple of you guys jumping in. Why don't you ask me a question? Comments, there you go. That's me. Everybody settle down. Charlie Marlow. Get your questions and comments in the chat if you'd like to join and talk about night one of the DNC. Apparently there's a little bit of protesting going on with the the Free Palestine folks. I do think that's a big swing factor. If there could be some really bad protests, obviously that would look bad for the Democrats and Kamala Harris. And look, I'm not saying it's their fault, but if there's unrest and if people are basically saying, look, with these Democrats, it's always about protests and this and that, and you can't even hold a convention without people out there going nuts. I've seen a couple things on social media here and there, nothing crazy. So look, there's always going to be a little bit of protest, but if that thing gets real bad, clearly that's a bad look on the Democrats, whether that's fair or not, right? If you have people protesting a party, a candidate, your policies, it's going to be a bad look. And again, when you know how basically these footballs work, these political footballs work in the modern age, you know that Republicans are going to use that to their advantage. What did you guys think about night one of the DNC? Kind of just like an average day. I feel like it wasn't great. And if you guys disagree with me, let me know. I think it made sense. By the way, Jill Biden was up there. I thought her speech was okay, pretty short. AOC, whether you like her or not, I feel like AOC is a very passionate speaker. I know a lot of people don't like her on the right, but young, she brings energy. I think that's part of it too. Just somebody who's excited to be up there, who speaks well. And I feel like we have so many old politicians. If you go back the last couple election cycles, think about the people who have been running for president. If you go back to 16 and you're talking about Hillary, at the time you're talking about people in their late 60s, Hillary, Bernie, Donald Trump. And then 2020, you got Bernie again, you got Trump again, you got Joe Biden. You got Joe Biden this time before he drops out. But we're talking about a lot of people in their late 60s, 70s, into their 80s. So for me, anytime I see just younger politicians, I think it's good to see. We need some new life. We need some new blood in both parties. And I feel like that generation of folks, the boomer generation, the Clintons, the Bushes, Obama's younger, but the Bidens, Donald Trump, all those folks are in that same boomer generation. All due respect, hey, my parents are boomers, but it's time for the younger generations to take over. And I do think, and I say that big picture. Clearly, Donald Trump has about a 50% chance to win. So maybe we have another boomer running the country for another 4 years. But whether you like Kamala Harris or not, I do think her generation, which has got to be, I don't think she might be, if she's a boomer, she's right on the low end. I don't exactly know when the boomers start, but I'm saying she's still 20 years-ish younger than Joe Biden. So that generation, if you're in your 50s, whatever, and I'm talking about Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, that generation of folks, I would like that generation to start taking over. And I understand Donald Trump might win, but if not, hopefully, all due respect, boomers, I love you, but hopefully we're done with boomers as presidents. You got to think they have to be, right, after this. Okay, let's see. Greg Ahrens, if those Palestine protesters don't like Democrats, wait till they get a load of Trump. LOL. Yeah, I also wonder how big of the Israel-Palestine, how many people do you think are really, really going to switch their vote based on that policy? I'm sure there's an amount. I don't think it's very many people. I don't think that percentage is very high, but I get it. I also think it's optics. Again, if all these protests are going on all the time and it's because of the Biden-Harris agenda or what's going on or arming Israel or people saying, hey, too many Palestinians are being killed. By the way, I'm pretty in the middle on that one. Kind of how I was with Russia, Ukraine. And that one's going a long time. But look, I think we should help out our allies. You have Ukraine being attacked by Russia. You have Israel being attacked by Hamas, a terrorist organization. I think we should help our allies. I don't want United States troops, soldiers there. And for the most part, that's not happening. I know you have contractors and all that. To me, I don't mind as much funding and helping our allies. I don't think you can do that forever. I get it. But I'm pretty much in the middle on both those. And I never really looked at Israel, Palestine that much differently than Ukraine, Russia, although I know they're different situations. But I do feel like people have politically chosen one or the other. And that's where I feel like people are huge, huge hypocrites. But you know that. You know why? Because the political media full of grifters. That's why. I was having a conversation with my buddies on a text today. The way you make money on YouTube podcast is to just go all in one side. You're either left, you're right, and you got 50% of the people love you. You can go after the other 50% and you can monetize that 50%. They're all grifters. They all say things they don't even believe. I'm telling you, if you have a normal, like our podcast, I'm not saying we're the best, but Eric and I, we jump on. We're pretty middle of the road, reasonable people. I'm from Ohio. He's from Pennsylvania. And I don't think either of us like either main candidate right now. I'm a fan of RFK. I wasn't going to vote for Trump. I wasn't going to vote for Biden once it was obvious he was too old. We'll see what happens with Kamala here. Kamala also has to prove herself to a lot of voters because we didn't see a lot from her as VP. She obviously didn't do well in her 2020 primary. And she has to prove herself. She has a couple months. I know it's a sprint to the finish, but the debates are going to matter. Her speeches are going to matter. Her interviews are going to matter. Let's see. Got another question, comment. Starries. Starry RZ, Starries. Did you hear the Nicole Shanahan announcement that their campaign is debating if they should stay in or endorse Trump? Is that true? Did that actually happen just now? I have to look that up. Nicole Shanahan, the VP pick for RFK Jr. I'm going to have to look that up. Thing is, when you go live here, you basically have to be constantly checking Twitter and all that. So I gave my thoughts a little bit on the night one of the DNC. Nothing special, not terrible, not great. Okay energy. I feel like the RNC, the first 3-4 days were really good. There were moments, but nothing that really kind of took me back from yesterday. And I also think I always bring up the betting odds because look, anything positive or negative should in theory affect these betting odds. And I'll show you again. So Kamala Harris, it does seem like the honeymoon is over in terms of she had this positive trend basically from the second it was announced, and then Tim Walz, and you can go after Tim Walz too. Obviously, the Republicans are with the stolen valor stuff and some of his policies in Minnesota and the George Floyd riots and all that. But all through that, the betting odds were still going up and favoring the Democrats. And now in the last 3, 4, 5 days, you're starting to see it really come back to earth and be essentially a 50-50 or close to it. I mean, right now, that's basically, again, that's like 51-48 if you add all those folks up there. Now in the polling, you actually see Kamala Harris continuing to trickle up. Okay. Real Clear Politics average has Kamala Harris up plus 1.5, if you can see that. And by the way, Rasmussen polls are total garbage. They just are. It's not about right or left. Rasmussen polls are always way right. And so look at this. Go to the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 polls. Morning Consult has Harris plus 4. CBS News, Harris plus 3. ABC, I believe that's Washington Post, plus 4. Emerson, plus 4. So everybody has Harris by plus 3 or plus 4. Rasmussen has Trump by plus 4. It's basically an 8-point swing. And if you look up Rasmussen, it's just not a serious poll. I'm not saying that Kamala Harris is going to win, but I don't think you can really include that one. That's certainly an outlier. Another poll, Fox News has Trump plus 1. Something like that would not surprise me one bit. But at this point, Trump with a 4-point lead over. And this is, remember, we're talking polling. We're talking popular vote. Look, Donald Trump could lose the popular vote again and win the presidency. So I don't think there's any chance Donald Trump is up plus 4 in the popular vote. But I think Kamala Harris being up about 1.5 on the average, that's probably accurate. I would say that pretty confidently. But who knows? Who knows? All right. Okay, so Starry's talking about this morning basically that, do you guys think RFK, will he actually drop out and endorse someone else like Trump or Kamala? Cabinet position? You've seen reports, rumors of both. Is he kind of floating his name out there? I don't know, folks. I'm not the person checking on this all the time. We're just having fun. We're talking politics. Go somewhere else for people that have all of the 100% facts. All right. I'm not trying to denigrate myself. I don't have time to look all this stuff up. All right. I'm just jumping on, give you my quick couple points, couple thoughts. Here we go. Maybe Stacy, Wisconsin here. I didn't hear that about RFK. I didn't either, but I haven't been super involved on Twitter X today yet. Let's see. We have John, is it Quiros? I can't vote for Harris or Trump, and both parties are dead to me. They've been in charge since the 1800s. Yeah, I also think big picture, so many people, John, thanks for your comment, are just so tired of the two-party system. I am too. We always say this, but like after this election, I would hope we need to destroy the two-party system. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take election cycles, but we need to get away from the hate and the division of you got to be a Democrat, you got to be a Republican. It's just absolutely ripping our country apart. John, again, RFK Jr., 24. Let's see. Maybe Stacy. As you'll see, I have a lot of RFK Jr. We have a lot of RFK Jr. followers on this channel, and we appreciate all of you. We've talked about RFK Jr. a lot. By the way, how's my audio? Do I sound okay? My mic's not cutting out? Let me know. Maybe Stacy says, I really hope RFK doesn't endorse either of these people. I understand money is an issue, but how about suing the DNC for payback on Secret Service? Yeah, that was another instance where the Democrats, Biden, really messed up. Again, this isn't about liking RFK Jr. It's not about being a Biden supporter or a Trump supporter, Kamala Harris, whatever. For about a year, I feel like RFK Jr. was making the point that I don't have Secret Service protection. There have been people in his house harassing him inside of his house. I think clearly we all know the story of his dad and his uncle. We don't have to get into that. So the fact that he didn't have Secret Service protection as a legit candidate, even if he's not going to win, I don't know what his polling numbers will end up being or his election numbers will end up being, but he's a legitimate candidate. And to not give him Secret Service protection was wrong. And the fact that it took Donald Trump being shot at for the Biden administration to flip on that was a really bad look. Really bad look. Kurt Van Loo, sound good. Appreciate that. John, also sound good. Appreciate that. We got a decent handful of you people now watching here. Been on for about 26, 27 minutes. I'll be on for a few more minutes. I got to go work out. All right? You got to keep the body and the mind strong. Anything else, you guys? Any questions from you? What you thought of night one of the DNC, and also the fact that betting odds coming back to basically coming back to what do you call it? The regression to the mean, whatever it is, that 10 percentage point lead that Kamala Harris was enjoying in the betting odds mid last week, it's now down to 2.5%, 3%. Polling, I showed you guys that Kamala Harris on the average up about 1.5 points. That seems fair to me. This is still an absolute coin flip of an election. According to those same betting odds, you have the Democrats right now winning the Electoral College 270 to 268, but that is razor thin. That means any state that Kamala Harris loses gives the election to Donald Trump. So if that's Pennsylvania, if that's Michigan, if that's Wisconsin, but I also think Kamala Harris jumping on board, that has opened up, whether you like it or not, potentially a different pathway if she were to be able to win in Arizona and Nevada, which are in play. I'm not saying she's going to win them, but Biden had no chance. Biden had no chance of winning Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina. And I don't think Kamala Harris is going to win Georgia, by the way. I don't think Kamala Harris is going to win North Carolina. But Kamala Harris jumping in, Joe Biden, did he back out? Was he forced out? Either way, Joe Biden's out. And that's a good thing for the Democrats. It's a good thing for the competitiveness of this election. Whether you like Kamala Harris, Trump, RFK Jr., whatever it is, I think we can all agree this is a much, much closer election now because it's Kamala Harris. I didn't think there was basically any chance that Joe Biden was going to win. I didn't think he was going to win before the debate. Now, I didn't say it was guaranteed game over, but even before his horrific debate, I didn't think Joe Biden was going to win. But then after the debate and the fact that he was still seemingly staying in, there was no chance Joe Biden was going to beat Donald Trump. So now at least the Democrats and Kamala Harris have a fighting chance to beat Donald Trump. We shall see. We shall see. I'm looking forward to the rest of the DNC and the speeches from Tim Walz and from Kamala Harris and all that. Again, quick recap. Last night, I thought I was mediocre, not great, not bad. I thought Hillary Clinton actually gave the best speech. Joe Biden's speech was okay, too long. I actually fell asleep. It was boring, but also I was tired, so I can't 100% blame it on the speech being boring. Let's see one more question here. Maybe Stacy. If you haven't seen this one yet, it's a great explanation on what RFK is providing for the future of the two-party systems and independent, we the people party. Yes, even if he doesn't win, we need the third party to be strong. We need the third party to become a legitimate power factor in our political system. Got another comment here. Joe Ruhak, I thought Biden's speech was great. Why'd you think that? I'm not disagreeing with you. I didn't think it was bad, by the way. I also think I think at this point, I think it's hard for Joe Biden just because of his age. It's hard for him to give a really, really good speech. He's not Barack Obama, never was, and he's old. So I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it's anything that you're looking at, oh, that was horrendous. Doesn't really matter. He's not the nominee anymore. To me, it was a little too long. I can understand if Republicans are saying it was kind of angry. And back in the day, like on the State of the Unions, I never really thought that. I think you're playing to your weaknesses sometimes. When you're old and you're looked upon as this whispering, kind of feeble octogenarian, I think you basically try to overcorrect too much with the yelling, with the I'm strong, I'm the president. It's kind of funny that when Joe Biden went up there, my wife and I are sitting there on the couch thinking, you kind of forget Joe Biden's still the president, right? You forget he's the president. It almost feels like Kamala Harris is the president right now. And you understand why, for optics, they want to run her out there and make her look like the president, make her look presidential as much as they can. So thank you all for the comments. Thank you for the questions. 14 of you watching. I don't even want to stop because I feel like we're starting to gain some folks watching. Please comment, like, subscribe on the channel. Everybody settle down. Eric and I will come back with a podcast later this week. I was traveling last week. I was in California, actually, where Eric lives. I was at the Food Allergy Institute with my son. We were out there for about 5 days. So that's why I wasn't doing a lot of videos. But I'll try to pay closer attention to the DNC, folks, the rest of this week. I'm excited. When I say excited, I think Kamala's speech is going to matter. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it'll be great. I have no idea. I'll read another question here. Joe Ruhak, if Biden would have sounded like that at the debate, I think he would still be the nominee. No, I agree with that. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but all these people that say that it was this grand conspiracy theory to switch out Joe Biden, I honestly don't think the Democrats would have put on this pressure campaign, Nancy Pelosi, whoever it was. I don't think they would have done this if Joe Biden just had an average performance in the debate. I agree with you. And I'm not saying it's right. I said going back like 6, 7, 8 months ago, Joe Biden should have stepped aside. But it took the horrendous debate performance for that to happen. I truly believe if Joe Biden, if his debate performance would have been like last night's speech, I agree with you, Joe. I think they would have tried to push Joe Biden to the finish line. And I think they would have had a massive loss, not just in the presidency, down ballot. So no matter what happens, even if Trump wins the presidency, this is going to be a much closer election, and Democrats are going to perform much better down ballot just because they made the switcheroo and because it's Kamala at the top of the ticket. Whether you like her or not, there's just much more excitement and enthusiasm. There was zero excitement, zero enthusiasm whatsoever for Joe Biden. Maybe Stacy says, yes, she agrees with Joe. Let's see. Starries. Do you think Harris has a chance to win Florida or Ohio? Or like me, do you think she will lose both those? Yeah, I don't think Kamala Harris has any chance to win Ohio or Florida. Maybe closer in Florida. I mean, DeSantis won Florida big in his gubernatorial. Didn't he win it by about 19 points? I feel like Ohio is now about a 10-point red state. I'm from Ohio. I feel like good candidates in Ohio can outperform that. You saw Tim Ryan versus J.D. Vance in the Senate. He outperformed that. But I would think Ohio is going to go to Trump 8, 10 points, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. Who knows? Maybe you can see that come back a little bit. Like if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz really perform well in Ohio, could they lose that state by 5 points? I don't know. I don't think there's any chance that Kamala Harris is winning Ohio. I don't think there's any chance that Kamala Harris is winning Florida, but making it more competitive, making potentially the Republicans spend money. I think that's another part we don't talk about enough. And I hate that it's this way, but the money is so important. Just being able to load up with the ads, the TV ads, the digital ads, it makes a difference. If it didn't, they wouldn't do it. And so one thing you have to give an advantage in terms of Kamala Harris and the Democrats since the switch is even if Trump, let's say Trump still wins Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada. Let's say he still wins all those states, which could happen. And Kamala could still win the presidency by just holding the blue wall states. Either way, by making especially Arizona and Nevada, but also Georgia and North Carolina more competitive, the Republicans are now going to have to re-strategize, dump a bunch more money into Arizona, dump a bunch more money into Nevada, maybe dump more money into Georgia, maybe dump more money in North Carolina. Again, I don't think it's going to happen in Ohio and Florida, but all those resources, not just time, campaign events, your surrogates, your rallies, all that, knocking on doors, your ground game, but all that money that the Trump campaign could have dumped into Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, you're going to have to take a decent percentage of that now to try to hold Arizona specifically, to try to hold Nevada, and maybe even if you feel like you're vulnerable in Georgia and North Carolina, which I don't think they really are vulnerable to lose, but they certainly have lost margin there. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Got some comments now coming in. Tom Flory, first day was terrible. No energy whatsoever in the United Center. Yeah, I wouldn't say terrible, but I don't think it was great. I think it was pretty mediocre. Now, Tom, are you a Democrat, Republican, or independent? I want to know where your biases are. But again, I don't think it was great. Let's see. Starries helping Sherrod Brown in Ohio, perhaps a competitive Senate race for sure. Yeah. You got to dump money into Sherrod Brown, and who knows? He's obviously vulnerable. You got the gentleman in Montana. What's his name? Correct me. I forgot his name just now. John, the bigger gentleman. I like him. He's vulnerable. Clearly. Is it John with a T? See, this is why I'm no political expert. Okay, I can't remember these people's names. Let's see. John T. Senator. Montana. What's his name, folks? Jump in there and let me know. John Tester. John Tester is the vulnerable Democrat candidate in Montana. Then, of course, you have Joe Manchin giving up his seat. There ain't no chance Democrats ever win a frickin' Senate seat in West Virginia for a long time. So if you complain about Joe Manchin, remember that. He held a Democrat Senate seat in the state of West Virginia. Let's see how long it takes for a Democrat to win a seat in West Virginia after this. Let's see. Joe, I'll give Biden a longer speech since it's his last one. Yeah, last probably important one until, I guess, what? At the inauguration? Last important speech? Tom Flory. Morneo wins that Senate seat. Trump will win Ohio by 10, maybe more. Yeah, I don't know. That wouldn't surprise me. I don't know if it'll be 10. I don't think it'll be that close. Again, could the Democrats outperform and lose by 5? Who knows? 8, 7? I don't know. We'll see. Starries. If Trump wins Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, if Trump won Omaha, Nebraska, the Electoral College would be tied. That's true. Isn't that weird that you have these little weird, like the Omaha thing? Why is that? That's just odd to me that that's even a thing. Tom Flory, Joe Biden is a clown. Okay. That gives me a little inkling into your political leanings when you said that the first day was terrible. No energy whatsoever in the United Center. I get it. I wouldn't say it's terrible, though. But I understand if you hate Joe Biden, you think it was terrible. But I think it was just kind of average, just mediocre. Not great, not bad. Joe D, love your stuff on YouTube, Charlie. How does the party that has touted saving democracy bring a candidate that no one has voted for at a national level? She would have lost to RFK Jr. or Waltz in the primary. I agree. I think there's a very good chance RFK could have won the Democrat primary. I don't think Waltz was running, though. I mean, in the primary, I'll tell you what. If you had an actual competitive primary, I don't think Kamala Harris would win, by the way. I don't know that for a fact, but I think people like even Gavin Newsom, if you don't like him, he's a really good candidate running for office. He's really compelling, even if he's maybe not the greatest when he actually runs a state, but he's really good at running for office. I think Gretchen Whitmer would have done really well. I think Josh Shapiro would have done really well. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Kamala Harris would have won the Democrat primary, in my opinion. So I agree with you right there. I don't think Walz was going to run for president. Tim Walz does not strike me as a president. A vice president, yes. Tom Flory, Republicans had their best primary in Ohio. Tom, of course, I'm a registered Republican. Well, that's all good, and I appreciate you watching. Hey, the whole goal of this channel is to actually be pretty fair. And that's the reason, part of the reason our channel hasn't blown up, I think, is we're too reasonable. I'm serious. You know what makes money? Grifting. Just being all right, all left, catering to those people, attacking the other side. That's how you make money. We ain't making no money on this channel right now. You know why? Because we're pretty reasonable. All right. Maybe we should change that. I should just become a lunatic and do it for the money. I might actually do that. Who knows? Bashir would have been a better VP pick. Yeah, Andy Bashir. And his speech last night was good too. He's really good. If you can flip Kentucky, I think he flipped Kentucky like 26 points, whatever it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going by memory here. I feel like that was like a 21-point red state, and he won by 5 points. If you can win the governor's race in Kentucky, you're a hell of a politician. Again, whether you like him or not, that dude is doing something right. All right. Tom Flory, I gave you a like on the stream. Appreciate that, Tom. See, I want all Republicans, Democrats, independents, all the RFK people. I want all you guys watching these videos. All right. You know what? I've gone 40 minutes and I got to go work out. So I'm going to shut this down. Thank you guys so much all for commenting. Like, subscribe, share the channel, share the show, share the videos. I'll try to do another one here live after an RNC. Eric and I will do a breakdown probably Friday for everybody settled down. We'll do a full podcast. All right, you guys. See you later. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. I love you all. See ya. End stream.